Hi everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to Mrs. Enchanted Channel. Well, we are on series 4 of True Tales of Ghostly Encounters. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to do a couple. I think we're going to be hitting another, let's see. Yeah, another chapter, and that one's going to be apparitions. Still got a couple more of the messages, so we'll see. All right, electronic visits. 2 months after my husband's unexpected death in 1992, his spirit came to visit. I had fallen asleep in bed when my stereo woke me up, playing full blast. It startled me, but I didn't think much of it. I assumed I had left it on accidentally. Then I remembered that it had not been on the night before. The next day I mentioned this incident to my friend. Eleanor, she said, Paul came to visit me last night. My friend had been awake on her sofa by her dog barking at the door. She turned to see what the dog was upset about and saw Paul standing by the door in white clothing. She sat up, rubbed her eyes, and said his name, but he was gone. On Paul's birthday in 1997, my daughter Katie called to say she needed a ride home. When I went to the car, I had a message on my cell phone. That was strange because my daughter was the only one who had ever called me on it. When I retrieved the message, I was shocked to find that the entire conversation that I had with my daughter on my home phone was recorded on my cell phone voicemail. I have been told that that is impossible. Paul's favorite time of the year was the holidays. That same year, we were again packing for Christmas vacation. Katie had a Tamagotchi doll, which were all the rage a few years back. The battery had run dead and she had not played with it for months. While she was packing, it began beeping. She looked at it and its little display window read, "Hi, Katie." Since there was no way to type anything into the toy, I knew that it was Paul. After a while, the screen went blank. This happened again on Christmas Day. Since Paul was quite a bit older than me, he always joked about coming back to visit if he died. I now know he meant it. It has been more than a year since his last visit. I miss him, but it was time for his spirit to move on. That's pretty interesting. I guess the joke, that he kept joking about coming back, he actually did it. Eleanor Astrian, Sacramento, California, October 1999. Now we moved on to a gift of reassurance. I was spending the week with my dear friend Jackie. Sadly, 2 weeks earlier, she had buried a friend from cancer support group. At the end, this poor young woman, suffering so with pain, worried over the teenage daughter she was leaving behind, and a very frightened, naturally took out some of her fear and frustration on those around her. Jackie spoke of her uncertainty that their relationship was intact at the end. Did her friend forgive her for impatient Jackie might have shown? In response to the dying woman's demand in sharp words, as Jackie perceived it, their long friendship had ended badly and unresolved. She was tormenting herself with this analyzation. My angels, whom I hold close in their counsel dear, popped the answer into my head, when I personally would not have been so bold to say by myself. I suggested to Jackie that soon after death, sometimes one can call out to a soul for reassurance, resolution, perhaps a sign. There are hundreds of such documented true accounts. We pleaded with the woman's spirit to show us some sign that she understood and was happy and free of human frailties and faults, that all was forgiven and restored. With this, we continue with our relaxed evening of television and talk of other things, laughing at ourselves to think anything would actually happen, and in any case, having no clue what to expect. Hold on, I need to take a drink. Oh my God. All right. Then, quite suddenly, a paper that had been well secured to the refrigerator for a long time flew off, did several curls in the air, and came to lay on the carpet in the center of the room. We didn't think much about it and replaced the paper, checking for drafts or vents, but finding nothing. Then a nearby floor lamp began to flicker. Jackie inspected the wire, bulb, wall switch, and base. We considered the lack of road traffic or inclement weather. She insisted this had never before occurred. I joked that maybe her friend on the other side was truly attempting to give a signal. We were spooked, but thought we were simply missing a natural phenomenon. Later, the light flickered again, this time staying off longer at each interval. Now we were calling her friend's name aloud and welcoming her visit in response. Finally, the strangest, most convincing thing of all occurred. Jackie had a small dish of candy sitting back on the cupboard across the room. By now, we were quite alert, not distracted by the television. I was thinking only of how wonderful it was to be blessed by signs which might come to comfort my friend. We watched in amazed silence as a chocolate candy kiss rose from the dish, floating horizontally across several feet of airspace, and tumbled to an abrupt landing at Jackie's feet. We sat in utter shock, neither of us able to believe our very sober eyes, and too frightened to touch the candy. I was covered in goosebumps and my hair stood on end. Several moments passed before either of us could speak, but when we did, it was in a fast-paced, nervous chatter. We recognized that we had, in fact, been contacted. Later, we thanked the Spirit for her grace and all that it took to convince us. Jackie expressed through joyous facial features and relaxed shoulder muscles that she believed her friend was all right, forgave her, as if that was necessary, and loved Jackie for caring for her until the end of her earthly life. We are now certain there is another existence, a kinder, gentler life beyond this one, where a supreme being occasionally allows for the gift of reassurance and hope. Aw, that was so sweet. I like that one. And Maureen McNulty, Columbus, Indiana, April 2000. All right. Now we're moving on to the phony nun. On December 1st of each year, I began to write my Christmas cards. On December 1st, 1998, I paged through my Christmas data book, checking the list of who sent a card the year before. On the last page is the name of the nun who taught me in commercial class. After graduation, I kept in touch with her, and every year I mailed her a card with a $10 bill. Sister Rita had been sent to a home for retired nuns, but I managed to visit her often. Every letter she sent urged me forward in my work. She was my inspiration, and I loved her and looked for her guidance. Sister Rita came to me in a dream last year to let me know she was going to heaven. It was strange to see her rising up into the heavens on the elevator. Right after the dream, I received a phone call that she had passed away on February 24th, 1998. Now, as I cherished her memory, I felt very sad, wishing I could still mail her a Christmas card or make contact. I was alone when the telephone rang at exactly 8 p.m. I answered with a hello, and the most beautiful voice responded, hello. Immediately, I was aware that the voice belonged to someone I loved. The voice was soft and musical and asked, Lillian. Speaking, I answered. How are you? Fine, I answered, trying to identify the voice. What are you doing? Writing Christmas cards, I said, and following that, I asked, and to whom am I speaking? The voice lovingly responded, this is Sister Rita from the Franciscan order. Now there was a lull, no dial tone, just stone silence. I held the phone in mid-air for several minutes, stunned. I hung up, shaken in disbelief. Still in shock, I went to my Christmas data book and marked an X in the space reserved for incoming cards, in the received column next to Sister's name. Yes, Sister sent me a most beautiful greeting with a call. I feel certain that call came from heaven, for I'm sure that it was where she is. Ha, that's cool. Lillian E. Burton, River Grove, Illinois, June 1999. All right, let's see. And now we move on to apparitions. Return visits by the departed. All right. Among the survival stories and fates archives, some of the most dramatic are among the hundreds in which a deceased person is reported to have visited a friend or family member after death. The visitor may bring a message of encouragement or concern to the witness, or simply offer hope and assurance by his or her presence. The classic example of this type of report in our culture is that of Jesus' Easter return to his followers, but such reports are found in all cultures and continue to the present day. All right, so we're going to be reading moral support. My father had been dead for a couple of years when my mother was asked to do a reading for a prayer service at our church. It would be the first time she read to a group larger than the circle of her own children. My mother was understandably nervous, and I sat in the front pew to give her all the moral support I could. I knew she would do well, but I asked for a little divine intervention anyway. The prayer service was small, and only the lights in the front section were fully lit. As my mother approached the pulpit, I felt a chill come over me. I was compelled to look at our usual seat in the left transept. I sat in awe of the vision before me. It was the figure of my father gliding down the aisle toward the front pew. He was wearing the brown suit in which he had been buried. I shook my head and rubbed my eyes, thinking it was only my imagination. But when I looked again, he was still there. My mother began her reading, unaware of my distraction. After finishing, she returned to her seat beside the pulpit. I looked back to where I had seen my father's image. He was gone. The chill I had felt throughout the reading was replaced by a warmth, as if someone were hugging me. Later, I mentioned this to my mother. Although she had not seen or felt anything while at the lectern, she did not doubt me. I have always been sensitive that way. She did, however, admit to feeling a warm hug when she stepped away from the microphone. In the years since my father's passing, there have been many occasions when we have both felt Dad's presence at home, as if he were helping us with some task that he had always been better at. However, I have not seen his image since the incident in the church. And that's from Elizabeth M. Dumont, Bristol, Connecticut, February 1999. And that's where I'm going to leave off. We'll do some more tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you guys are enjoying these series, these ghostly encounters and everything, let me know. It'd be interesting to find out if you guys do, if you don't, or if you want me to do something else. You know, just a little bit of input would be great. All right, I'll talk to you guys. Don't forget to... Actually, I'll talk to you in a couple of days. And... Oh, wait. Maybe I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll see. I have to work tomorrow, so if I'm up to it, I will. All right, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Stay safe and have fun. And always, always thank you for watching. Bye. Mwah. See you later.